Hey guys, how's it going? It's Kenny from the Fantasy Fanatics and the Fantasy Golf Degenerates here to go over my favorite cash game plays for the Career Builder Challenge this week. First off, let's go over last week's picks at the Sony Open. My 4 favorite plays in cash last week were Brandt Snedeker, Daniel Berger, Pat Perez, and Charles Howell III. Snedeker was the only one that missed the cut. It was a little bit surprising. A lot of chalk last week, missed the cut. So, when I first saw the prices going into last week, I thought for sure, 20, 30% or more we'd get 6 of 6 through. But, of course, golf never happens the way you expect it to. So, in cash, only about 5 or 6% got 6 of 6 through. So, Snedeker, that was my one missed cut. Berger made the cut. He sort of fell off on the weekend, but he got to play the weekend. Perez fell off on Sunday. Seems to be a theme with my golfers here lately. Make the cut and then just tank on the weekend. And Charles Howell III actually did well. He finished in 8th place, but everybody was on him. Deservedly so. The guy's been playing good golf, and he always plays well at the Sony Open. My value play was Hudson Swafford, and he finished 13th. So that was pretty solid. If you made a lineup with Brandt, Perez, Berger, CH3, and Swafford, it left you room for either Zach Johnson or Bill Haas last week. So if you made that lineup using my 5 picks and one of those guys, you actually were in the money. So not the worst week. Decent start for the Fantasy Fanatics Cash Game Cornerstones for me. So now let's move on to this week. It's the Career Builder Challenge. It's going to be coming from Palm Springs, California. A little bit different type of format this week, and definitely something that you need to pay attention to. The tournament is going to be played on 3 separate courses: the Jack Nicklaus Tournament course, La Quinta Country Club, and the Stadium course at PGA West. Now, all golfers are guaranteed 3 rounds. They'll play 1 round at each course, so that means the cut is not until Saturday. A little bit different type of strategy here. Missed cuts don't hurt as bad. So, it's something to keep an eye on when you make your lineups this week. You could probably be a touch more aggressive when it comes to cash game plays this week. The cut is going to be top 70 and ties unless more than 78 golfers are in that range. If more than 78 golfers are in the top 70 with ties, they will drop the cut to the top 60. So, that could be a disaster coming on Saturday night, but we'll just see how it goes. Last year, it didn't have to go that way, but we'll see how it goes. So now, all 3 of these courses, definitely easier courses. I think the Nicklaus course last year was like the 2nd easiest on tour. The La Quinta was like the 3rd easiest, and the Stadium course was like the 10th easiest. So definitely easy courses. They just started playing these 3 courses on rotation last year. So course history is definitely limited. I'm definitely a course history guy, so it's a little bit tough for me, but I won't be looking at that hardly at all this week. On the spreadsheet, I'm going to go 60% key stats, 35% current form, and only 5% course history. Just a couple of stats I'm looking for. My main 2 are probably going to be birdie or better percentage and par 5 scoring. I think last year the top 5 golfers finished a combined 54 under on the par 5s. Also, 8 golfers scored lower than -20. So definitely a birdie fest. Definitely got to get your bones on in the par 5s. You can actually see all my stats on my expert model on the Fantasy Fanatics this week if you want to go check that out. So let's actually get to the meat of the video, our picks this week. All right, so first pick, it's going to be Charles Howell III at 9,900. It's a repeat from last week. I tend to do that a lot. I like current form, especially I'm going heavy on current form this week, so it just makes sense. He's made his last 5 cuts on tour with 4 straight top 15s. He makes a lot of birdies, plays par 5s well, and he avoids the big number. Pretty good bogey avoidance. He enjoys playing on the West Coast. And you can see by his performances in California and Arizona, all before the Florida swing. In his career, he's played 39 events on the West Coast swing. Has made 34 cuts with 10 top 10s. So big fan of Charles Howell III. Price is a little high, but it's a pretty weak field. So that's what you're going to get this week. You're going to have to pay up for some guys you normally don't pay up for. And Charles Howell is definitely going to be one of those guys for me personally. Next pick, it's going to be just below Charles Howell. It's going to be John Ram at 9,700. I was a bit hesitant. If you read my article on ProjectRoto.com this week, I wasn't completely sold on using him in cash just because he hasn't played competitive golf in a while. But I sort of talked myself into him last night just because of his sheer talent. The guy is one of the most talented golfers out there, young, big. He can hit it a mile, really good with his irons, great putter, good around the greens, really not too many weaknesses. I guess the main weakness for John Ram is going to be his mental. He tends to get frustrated very easily. He tends to get angry on the course. But, for some guys, that helps him. That's not a disadvantage. So we'll see as his future goes on if that's an advantage or a disadvantage for him. This guy, he seems to excel in weaker field events. He had a top 3 at both the Canadian Open and the Quicken Loans last year. Top 15s at Safeway, Shriners, and the John Deere Classic. That's, he played 10 events last year. Half of his events he finished in the top 15. And those 5 events I just listed, all weaker field events. So definitely he's strong when the competition's a little bit weak. So I like him this week. I talked myself into him. He makes a lot of birdies, which is very, very helpful, of course, for DraftKings scoring. And even more this week when everyone is guaranteed 3 rounds. All right, so my next pick, it's going to be Luke List at $8,600. Usually I'm not a big proponent of using Luke in cash games, but with his current form and the guaranteed 3 days, I like him this week. He's made all 6 of his cuts so far during the fall swing and early on this year, and he has 5 straight top 15 finishes. He's actually shot a combined 79 under in those 6 events, which is one of the lowest scores on tour so far total this year. Again, another guy makes a lot of birdies, kills par 5s, and he's actually been putting exceptionally well this year. In the limited sample size we've had in the 2016-2017 season, he is ranked 22nd in strokes gained putting. So let's see if List can do it again this week. Next pick, another duplicate from last week. It's going to be Hudson Swafford at $7,900. Swafford, he's made 18 straight cuts on tour and is coming off a 13th place finish last week at the Sony. Inside the top 80 in all the key stats I'm looking for this week. I think other than strokes gained tee to green, but everything else he's solid. I also like the fact that he's long off the tee and he's pretty accurate. Really good total drive stat. I think his length will help him on the 2 easier courses. You got to kill those par 5s. Hitting it as far out there as you can will definitely be a lot easier. You don't have to worry too much about the rough on these courses, so that's nice. Makes it easier for everybody. So I definitely like him, and I like his accuracy and length, the combo for the stadium course, which is definitely going to be just a little bit more difficult this week. All right, so let's recap my 4 favorite plays. It's going to be Charles Howell III at $9,900, John Ram at $9,700, Luke List at $8,600, and Hudson Swafford at $7,900. Now, if you're looking for a value play, somebody, around 7K or below that you want to use in cash, one of my favorite plays this week is going to be John Huh at $7,000, my Korean brethren. He hasn't missed a cut since June. He's been sneaky good. I don't know how many people have been talking about him. I know people are talking about Swafford and his 18 straight made cuts, but John Huh hasn't missed a cut since June. He has 4 straight top 30s, including a 10th place at the Shriners, and he finished 24th here last year. For $7,000, I will take that. All right, guys, that's it. Good luck this week. Make sure you check out all the other info on thefantasyfanatics.com, the strategy center, the spreadsheet, all the tools that you need is on that site. So good luck. win some money, and I'll see you again next week.